All right, so I'm curious to know what you guys thought about that test between the XM5 and the AirPods Max. In person, I will say that it does seem like the AirPods Max have the stronger active noise cancellation. So if your main goal is just to cancel out as much noise as possible at all times, I would give the advantage to the AirPods Max, which is pretty interesting because I have watched some other videos concerning the XM5s where they pretty much say the exact opposite. But again, in my opinion, the AirPods Max do cancel out more noise overall. Now, where the XM5s have the advantage is with their app. So within the Sony Headphones Connect app, you have that fully adjustable slider. So you can choose exactly how much noise cancellation you want or how much noise cancellation you need. And you can get very specific as far as your noise canceling settings. You can choose, locations. So if there's places that you frequent very often, whether it be like a coffee shop or, the library, you can go into the app, use the GPS of your phone to program those locations so that whenever you step foot in those locations, your headphones will automatically set the noise cancellation to your desired level. So for example, if you go to a certain coffee shop on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you like for your noise cancellation to be at the maximum level when you're there, you can program all of that within the app so that when you go to the coffee shop, your headphones automatically know what to do. That's just a level of customization and flexibility that you don't have with the AirPods Max. And then as far as the transparency mode, no questions about it, the AirPods Max have the definite advantage. Not only do they allow more ambient sound in, it also sounds more natural and it sounds closer to the way that it sounds when you don't have anything on your ears. So when it comes to ambient mode, transparency mode, whatever you want to call it, Apple is pretty much the undisputed king. So let's talk about the comfort. So obviously with the AirPods Max having those aluminum ear cups, they're the heavier of the two options. They come in around 380-ish grams compared to the 240-ish grams of the XM5s. So a definite advantage for the Sonys. So that's very important, especially when it comes to wearing the headphones for extended periods of time, catching a long flight, things of that nature. And then on top of that, I personally prefer the leather ear cushions on the XM5s compared to the mesh ear cushions of the AirPods Max. I just think the smooth, soft finish of the leather feels much more comfortable compared to that textured finish of the mesh. So as far as comfort, pretty easy win for the XM5s. Now, another big advantage that you're getting with the Sonys is multi-point connection. So you're able to connect the two Bluetooth devices at the same time and seamlessly switch back and forth between the two, which is extremely helpful as far as productivity. Now, if you're deeply embedded into the iOS ecosystem and you have numerous Apple devices, this doesn't really matter too much because you can pretty much do the same thing with the AirPods Max. But that's only if you have Apple devices. If you have a number of different types of devices, Apple devices, Android devices, then you can't do that with the AirPods Max. So that's why I consider the multi-point to be an advantage for the Sonys, because no matter what type of Bluetooth products you're using, you can take advantage of that multi-point connection. Now let's go ahead and jump into the sound quality, which is obviously a big ticket item. So straight out of the box, I don't really think there's a huge difference as far as the sound between these two. Now, I will say that the Sonys do seem to sound a little bit more open. They don't sound quite as closed in as the AirPods Max, but overall, I wouldn't say that one has a huge advantage over the other. I think the overall bass is very comparable. I think the overall treble and clarity is very comparable. I think the overall volume is pretty comparable, but where the Sonys start to separate themselves is again with their app, because it has built-in EQ presets that you can try out. And you also have the option to come up with your own preset. With the AirPods Max, that's not really an option. If you are on an iOS device, there are ways that you can change the EQ, but it is just much more convenient with the Sonys. The fact that you have this dedicated app with all these different options built in, ready to go. Now let's go ahead and touch on the call quality. So to make a long story short, the XM5s absolutely crush it when it comes to phone call quality. I did post a video already comparing the XM5s, the XM4s, and the AirPods Max when it comes to microphone performance. make sure you check out that video because the results are pretty surprising. So with the XM5s and the AirPods Max, when it comes to quiet conditions, both microphones perform perfectly fine. But when it comes to noisy conditions, the XM5s are scary good at suppressing background noise and focusing in on nothing more but the voice. The AirPods Max, on the other hand, pick up the voice, but they also pick up all of your ambient sounds taking place around you. So again, if you haven't seen that comparison video that I did, make sure you check it out because that will answer all of your questions. So if you take a lot of phone calls, you need the XM5s. So the last thing I want to talk about that I prefer on the Sonys over the AirPods Max is going to be the case. So this case is going to do much more in terms of protection compared to this case. And honestly, I don't even know if you can call this a case. So when it comes to peace of mind, especially for things like travel, throwing these into your luggage, into your backpack, this is going to give you much more in terms of peace of mind. And speaking of travel, ultimately, I think that's what a pair of active noise canceling headphones are for. You know, those long flights, those long periods of time in the airport, taking phone calls, things of that nature. So when you combine the long-term comfort of the XM5 with the Sony Headphones Connect app, which really unlocks the full potential of the headphones, I think the clear decision is the XM5, at least for me. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments, AirPods Max or the XM5. So make sure you stay tuned for my XM5 versus the Sony XM4s so I can let you know if you should be upgrading. That video is coming very soon.